and welcome to 27 by 40. My name is Chris.
This is Emmett.
And this is episode 19. And this week we are doing posters from the year 2000.
The year 2000. Yeah. That far-flung future time.
Yeah.
So sci-fi. The year 2000.
Oh, to go back. Remember the 2000?
It did feel weird at the time, though.
Yeah.
It was like, wow.
I've been writing 19 my whole life, and then suddenly...
it's the 2000s now. That's crazy. There's nothing's coming after this.
Yeah, this
turns
is
out
it.
it's now 20.
I know, now it just feels really like the numbers just stop meaning
25
anything.
years later. Yeah.
So, for those who have not seen this before, each week we pick a year at random, and then we both pick 5 movie posters from that year, and we rank them. We don't have to have seen the movie or even like the movie if we had seen it. It's just purely based on if we like the poster or not.
Yeah.
I believe this week, you're first.
All right. Technically, we usually do like every other week. So
yes.
It's
yeah.
Each episode, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's.
I don't know. You always do that because.
Yeah. Well, it's also these don't come out regularly in a way, so
right.
it's yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So I'm first. Did you say?
You're first this week.
All right. Well, I don't remember my order exactly perfectly, so it's whatever comes up. Oh yes, so that's The Road to El Dorado.
Oh, this was close. This was close for me.
It's just a fun. I mean, it's obviously a great movie. We're both big fans of this movie.
Yeah,
but I like the whole the art style and the I always
they encompass the gold part of it really well in the poster.
The thing of it is that a lot of times animated movies will have posters like this where it's very kind of painted sort of art style. And I'm always like, man, I wish the actual movies looked like that. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah,
a movie where the actual animation looked like that fully painted art style. That'd be so cool.
30 years to make.
Well, maybe nowadays with technology, they can make it work.
Fair.
You know?
Yeah.
But
it's a lot more detailed and stuff in the poster.
Yeah. I mean, not to say anything against the movie. Obviously, I love old school traditional animation.
Yeah.
You know, it's all great. But whenever I see these kind of posters, I'm always like, man, it would be cool if you could make the movie look like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think it's a fun. I like the whole sort of the kind of hole.
Yeah,
with,
in the jungle
and sort of the foliage and stuff and the trees, and then the beyond it with the water and the light and the city of gold and came for the gold, stayed for the adventure.
Yeah.
It's just it was just a fun movie. So rare to get those non-Disney ones that really just kick it out of the park.
Yeah.
I
mean, this
super fun main characters with Kevin Kline. I mean, I realize we're not here to review the movie, but when I saw this, I was just like, oh yeah, that's just fun. I really enjoy that.
Yeah,
and that's a fun poster. I think the poster does a great job of presenting the movie and making you be like, yeah, that looks fun.
Yeah.
So
this was one of the first ones that almost went on my list.
Yeah.
It was sort of went into my also rans.
Yeah.
Because something we usually do, top one of the episodes, but we didn't do this week really, was I talk about sort of our overall thoughts on the posters in general. And it took me, I was well into March, I think, before I found the first poster that
2000, 2000 has two main things. So it either has the giant close up of the main character's head as the poster, always giving some kind of weird or quirky facial expression.
Yeah.
Or it's the main character full body with all the other characters fanned out in this weird kind of
sometimes faded, sometimes not.
In this weird they're not just standing behind them or standing off to the side. They're
it's like a peacock's tail of characters.
They're fanned out behind the main character, and you're like, huh? And there's 10 posters that do that.
Yeah.
And then the other 10 are with the giant head with the weird expression.
I also found it to be a year of just really rough composition.
Yeah.
You really thought putting superimposing these two images over each other was a good idea. This looks like garbage. But
color palettes too were kind of like
rough.
I don't know about that. Like I was
like big year for the white poster.
Yeah, there was a lot of. I mean, I can't really say much about that because I've got some.
Yeah. Me too.
But,
I'm just saying it was a big year for that.
But like there were a lot of times where I was like, man, that poster would actually be good if it wasn't for the color palette they chose.
Yeah.
Like because it wasn't because it was like the color palette of the images.
Yeah.
It was like they would be like monochromatic images with like a overlay of some kind of color. Like they would be artificially colored. Like they would be like, like here's like it's like sepia or it's like
blue, some kind of weird light blue over
like
all the
green and blue or something. But it would be like the wrong choice.
Yeah.
It would be like, okay, well that poster, the image itself is
like you're
fine.
not giving the vibe you think you're giving.
Yeah, like the image itself is fine, but why did you use that color palette? Because it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's ugly.
It's like somebody learning how to use like filters for their first time.
I mean, I'm going to say this right now. For anybody out there who's like a poster maker, if that's a job.
Yeah. I assume so.
Or in charge of deciding what posters are. Don't make your posters ugly. Because the poster is supposed to sell you on the movie and make you interested and draw you to it and make you go, oh, wow, I'd like to see what that's about. Now, that doesn't mean it can't have like evil or twisted imagery.
We're talking aesthetically.
But don't make it so that you can't look like you don't want to like look at it because then you're not going to be drawn to it.
And I think it comes down to like
it's horrible.
And this
marketing.
is something that we've seen like through all the years that we've done this.
Yeah.
In movie posters is like there's definitely like this is a movie poster where somebody cared, and this is a movie poster where like it's 4:20 on Friday and it needs to be done by the end of the day.
Get the unpaid intern to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, El Dorado, my number 5.
All right, so now my number 5.
Hollow Man.
Super spooky poster.
It's good. It was on the considered list. I ultimately didn't go for it because I'm not a big fan of that kind of like...
Oh, the blurry...
It always turns me off a little bit.
I really like it here because it gives sort of that, because the way it's blurred, it gives me a bit of the it looks like original Invisible Man with the bandages because you can't see his lips or anything.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit.
You know, and then the O is the
where the eye would
but be. And then I like the the tagline on here. Good tagline for an Invisible Man.
I enjoy the movie.
Yes,
it's not my favorite Invisible Man movie, but it's good. Especially for the time, they really did that thing of like, well,
they did some effect stuff.
Yeah, pushing the effects forward.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like Invisible Man movies are a little bit like sort of like Blob movies, or where they're those kinds of things where like you can sort of justify it remaking it every so often because
the technology changes.
Because the technology changes, and you can really exploit like what you can pull off.
It's for me, I always think of it as the equivalent of every time a new video game console comes out, they've got to have the new racing game for it because look at how amazing the cars look.
Sure.
And every generation they got to have the new one. And it's the same. Every time a new film technology comes out, we got to do a new Invisible Man movie because
other
the
kinds
Invisible
of movies
tech.
where that doesn't matter.
No.
Where it's more about like the writing and the
the
story
atmosphere and stuff.
Where it's like, okay, well, like, don't remake that. It's like already a classic.
Yeah.
But I like it when they remake things like this because they can. It's not going to be the best necessarily, but they can exploit that evolution of the technology and stuff. I do actually really enjoy Kevin Bacon's performance as well. I think he really committed to like the whole sort of unhinged kind of, and in a good way. I like the whole sort of like he captured that kind of thing of like he's kind of unhinged to start with. Like not really, but he's got that kind of like
potential.
Every sort of genius is a little off. Like there's something wrong with that guy. He's not necessarily a bad guy, but there's like something about genius that just like a little bit off. And then the whole kind of psychosis of being stuck invisible feeds off of that, and then obviously just leads to like total unhingedness, which is classic Invisible Man stuff. But it's actually pretty well done. It's got some good atmosphere. It's got some good sort of creepy setup. And really good actors, really good cast, right? I mean, obviously you can see on the poster
we got Elizabeth Shue, Kevin Bacon,
but then there's also like Josh Brolin is the other main, good movie, but
the poster's
I did not pick the poster because just aesthetically,
the blurry,
Well, that's the main problem, but aesthetically, it's just not super my bag.
I think it might have gone even a little higher on if they had been maybe a little more creative with the font. The font's pretty bland.
It's a bit, it's a bit like right out of the computer kind of. Like just type.
This is
Anyways, no, that's cool. Yeah. It's good. I mean, it was on my potential short list. Yeah.
All right. So you're number 4.
Yeah. So this is The Cell. So this is not quite the original theatrical poster. This is the original one sheet.
Okay.
Still basically.
Because I was gonna say I didn't see this one.
It's similar. It's mostly the main difference. The configuration of the image is a little different, but it's very similar. But the main difference is it's darker, which is always usually my preference for the most part. I just
excuse us, Matrix, while we steal your font.
There's a few. It is the Matrix, it's just in a different color. Yeah, it 100% is. Now, granted, I mean it's not like the Matrix invented.
No.
But obviously, the fact that they just
came out.
It had been the biggest movie of the year before.
Yeah.
Clearly, you know what they're doing there.
Yeah, no, that's a good.
But yeah,
it almost like it's a great movie, fantastic movie.
Yeah.
This poster with like the stairs and the way they go up to the door and it almost makes it look even more horrific than the movie actually is. Yeah. It's.
But the taglines.
Speaking of a movie that's like just kind of a bunch of composition, or a poster that's a bunch of composition. Very good, very well.
Well, also it's like a good representation of what the movie will be in many ways, other than just maybe being a little bit darker.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things because we've seen the movie. Yeah. It's always that like if you see a poster and you're like, this doesn't seem to give me anything. Yeah. But if I saw the movie, maybe the poster would make sense, kind of situation.
Well, it's like it's a little bit of like. The poster is like a shorthand of a shorthand in a way.
Yes, yeah,
because the movie itself is like trying to represent visually the mind of like a deranged killer, and then the poster is trying to represent the movie that represents
the mind.
So it's like twice removed kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I mean, like that's a tricky thing to do. So I thought they did a good job.
I mean, that's always the poster is the. Like elevator pitch, 10,000 foot view. You've got to get it across. In a picture.
So I thought they did a good job of like picking out little bits and pieces and putting them together in such a way to like give the impression of like what the movie's going to be like, which is this kind of like crazy, assault on the senses.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, that's good. That's a real good one.
But yeah, maybe another time or whatever you can look up and check out the actual
theatrical
poster.
Yeah,
because it's like very similar to that in concept.
Yeah,
but it's just like lighter and a little bit different in the imagery. But it's very similar.
Yeah, I gotta say, I had actually completely missed this one.
But yeah, this is like the one sheet, so it's still basically it's basically a poster. Yeah. So it's all the text and all that stuff is all identical. So anyways,
all right. So my number 4.
Yes.
So I went with The Perfect Storm, which is
not bad.
I thought, okay, you got a movie called The Perfect Storm. Yeah. And you're showing the wall of water, the boat going up the wall of water. Yeah. There's some text stuff on here where it tells you a bit about the thing, but it's kind of neither here nor there. Like, just the...
Well, it's sort of trying to contextualize like that.
I mean, I almost feel like that's a little bit almost unnecessary. Like, honestly, if you would just put The Perfect Storm and then...
It's unnecessary to...
You get the...
Yeah.
It so perfectly represents... like... When I see the title, I'm like, oh, that looks like a crazy storm. Okay, what happens? They all die, right? Look at that wave. They all die. Clearly, they all die.
I mean, they probably did, but
yeah, I know. I've never. I
don't remember.
Actually, I've never actually seen this movie.
I saw it in the theater.
Oh wow!
But that was 2020.
Fair enough.
Sorry, in 2000.
Yeah.
So I've not seen it since. Mm-hmm. I couldn't tell you, but I suspect didn't survive.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah. Anyways.
But just the extremely flat color palette where the sky and the ocean is almost becomes like
we
the
know
same
about
thing.
your minimalism.
Yeah. Oh, this ain't nothing. But yeah. Right. So that's
Eventually, one of these days, we're just gonna have. You're gonna have a pic that's just like a poster. With
it's a single,
just nothing on it.
Yeah.
Just no text, just black.
If I could find just
nothing.
I'm like, I don't know what this movie's called.
Yeah.
All right. So that was my 4. So now you're 3.
Yeah. So this is Small Time Crooks. This is a Woody Allen movie. I really enjoy that sort of.
It's also my 3.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, I really enjoy that sort of cartoony, like
Pink Panther-esque.
Yeah. But then with like the sort of photoreal.
The cookie is like a
And the whole they took a bite out of crime.
Yeah.
It's just silly, very cool.
The font.
Yeah, that sort of like pasted, like that kind of.
It's a mix and match of
angular.
like upper and lower case.
Yeah. Which we've seen that before. That's something.
It's a bit. This font harkens back to a more like mid-late 70s kind of.
Yeah. Well, and much like the art. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Again. Yeah. This is a poster. Well, also like you look at like a lot of the cast. Oh, this it is kind of like almost like a movie out of time.
Yeah, I haven't seen it personally.
Oh, really? Oh, it's good. It's a good movie.
I haven't actually seen it.
Yeah,
but I just thought the poster was cool.
Yeah,
and
I mean, if you can stomach Woody Allen,
I can. Yeah.
That
doesn't really bother me.
But the rest of the cast does great too.
I mean, I definitely prefer when he's not like the main character.
In
some movies. But
yeah, it's a pretty wide cast in the film. But yeah, no, it's a great poster. It was one of the ones where I saw it. I was like, oh yeah, no, this is definitely going to be on my list. No, I'm not sure where, but it's definitely going to be on my list.
Yeah. So you ended up going 3.
Yeah, this is also my 3. Yeah. Cool. So now you're 2.
All right. Yeah. So Wreck-It for a Dream had to do it.
The eyeballs again with the eyeballs.
Yeah. Had to have an eye stuff. Didn't have an eye stuff one last time.
Oh, I really like this poster, and this was the one I knew I was like, I could put on my list, but I felt real confident that you were going to have it on your list, so I could leave it off.
Because the eye stuff, right?
The eye stuff. Yeah. Also, it's just a good poster.
Yeah, because I mean, last time I didn't end up having any eye stuff posters on my final list because there weren't any that were good enough.
Yeah.
There were some that were like...
Not every year has a good eye poster.
Yeah, there were some that were like, okay, that's a potential, but then they ended up not making it because they weren't good enough. But there's a lot of different posters for this movie. This is the regular... This is the actual theatrical poster. I think this is the best one that doesn't have... Because most of the other ones have, like, all the cast along the bottom.
Yes.
Instead of the like, seaside.
That's something else I noticed when looking at the posters for 2000, and I don't know if this is around that time where it started to, like... Oh, there were, like, 3 or 4 posters for every movie, and they were radically different posters sometimes. And you're like, wow, like...
Yeah.
Whoever put this poster together had nothing to do with those other ones,
Well, there's also a gazillion, like, after the fact
posters
for this movie.
And yes.
Oh, there's so many that are, like, obvious, either, like, fan posters or, like, special edition, like, like limited edition, like artwork posters and things like that.
You get into that category.
So many of those. But in terms of, like, more contemporary of the time stuff, this was the original theatrical, and then there's the one that looks like this with the eye, but it has the bottom part, instead of being that scene, it's just the characters all across. You'll also often see ones where it's the close up, the super close up on like this super strung out Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah.
Or other characters, like, super close up on super strung out.
Jared Leto.
Or, so, you'll see that a lot, too.
I mean, you could have just said Jared Leto. You didn't have to say super strung out.
Well, if you want to see a movie where every actor looks their worst.
Really? Yeah, wow.
It's this movie.
Yeah, no punches pulled.
No, I mean, I think this
it's a pretty wild film.
It's pretty notorious at this point as being, like, one of those where people always say, like, oh, yes, it's one of those, like, once and never again movies.
Yes, very
because it's
much.
a great film, but boy. I've seen it more than once, but probably only twice.
Yeah, I think maybe twice.
Maybe 3 times if you...
Well, I think I saw it in the theater at the time.
If you really divided it out, through
then.
all the entire time that it's been out, maybe 3 times. but only twice for sure. But yeah, it's not something I normally, it's certainly not something you watch for fun.
It's the one
unless you're really messed up.
This is one of those movies where every time I hear Requiem for a Dream, I always mix
great music too.
Yes, very good music. I always have to double check myself because I mix it up with what's the one with Tom Cruise where he's dead and he's living like it's like a simulation,
right? Vanilla Sky.
Vanilla Sky and Requiem for a Dream, like those two, those names have swapped back and forth on those movies for me. And I was like, Requiem for a Dream. Wait, is that the Jennifer Connelly or the Tom Cruise one? Wait, is Tom Cruise also in Requiem for a Dream? No, that's just Jennifer Connelly. And it's right, yeah.
Vanilla Sky is also, I think maybe is part of the connection, might be because it also has a lot of eye stuff.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah. I mean, they're both pretty.
Yeah,
like
because the original
wild films.
The original Spanish version, the title actually directly translates it to "Open Your Eyes."
Open your eyes,
and that's the title used on the on like the, if you watch the subtitles version, it'll say "Open Your Eyes" on it. And has the interesting distinction, not to get off track and talk about other movies too much, but has the interesting distinction of the fact that it's a remake of a foreign language film, and Penelope Cruz actually plays the same character.
Yes, that's right.
In both versions. Because she was already a well-known enough actress to American audiences by that point that they actually cast her again.
I don't even believe that's it might be the first time she does it, but I don't believe it's the only time she's done that. Where she's
maybe
like reprised a role in a remake.
Maybe. But anyways, it's interesting because it's not something that usually happens.
Vanilla Sky, way easier to watch again.
Yeah,
that's a definitely repeatable film.
Yeah.
Requiem for a Dream, maybe.
It's good. It's good though.
Yeah. All right, so that is your 2. So my number 2 is.
I thought you might have this.
Yeah.
Again, this was on my maybes.
Yeah. So I consider an extremely evocative poster.
Yeah.
Right up on my minimalist BS here.
Yeah, I mean, and very white.
And extremely white too.
That topic came up. I mean, honestly, here's the thing. I don't want to poo-poo how you feel about things because obviously
no, it's fine.
We have some crossover and then we have some differing opinions.
Yeah,
but it's kind of funny because you're extremely evocative, and I'm it's a bathtub and a hand.
Yeah. And this is what life. It makes me go.
No, that's
what?
cool.
What?
It worked on you.
Yeah.
And it didn't really work on me because I look at it and I'm it's like the edge of a bathtub in a hand. There's nothing really going on there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this is an extremely good thriller.
Yeah.
For an hour and a half.
Yeah. But unfortunately,
and then it goes on for another 45 minutes, and you get bored.
Wow.
Which is really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford, Michelle Pfeiffer, great chemistry. They work super good together.
Yeah.
Some really great writing. They just didn't know when to stop. Right. It was you're tension.
You do it fast and then you stop.
You can't hold tension for an hour. No. The audience is going to start to, and so it's they get you back at the end. It's got a bit of a slam bang ending, but it's still at that point you've almost checked out. Yeah. So
that's why Hitchcock movies are usually mostly short.
Yeah, thrillers need to be short.
Don't make it long or Red Eye or something.
Oh yeah, exactly. Oh yeah.
When you're trying to do a movie that's all about ratcheting up that tension and holding it,
and then it should be over almost before the audience realizes.
Yeah. Because the thing is the answer is don't. The problem is because movies are made so inefficiently and slowly now, but because the answer is don't make your movie longer, just make another movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Make your movie short and then make another movie.
Exactly.
Because that's why we are blessed.
Make a backup movie.
We are blessed with so many. I mean, we're both big fans of Hitchcock movies.
But look, they're not all bangers.
Well, they're not all bangers, but but. Generally speaking,
good ones,
there's a lot of good ones. But I mean, to this day, there are still ones we haven't even watched yet. Because there's just so many.
I have seen maybe...
Because he just made
if I was generous,
yeah.
I'd seen maybe 25% of his films.
Yeah.
Maybe 30.
You've seen a lot of the biggest ones, the most well-known ones.
Yeah, for sure.
But I still haven't seen them all.
It is one of those things where I was still I don't know, 25's coming up. we like to do these like themed things. Doing like a year of Hitchcock could be a cool thing.
We did have we have had Foreign Correspondent on the list for a while.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I really want to do that one. And
because you've never seen it. Yeah,
and there's certain specific things about it that make me really. We'll get into that if we actually do it. But and then there's a few others that are kind of like on the short list of like I'd really like to see that. But like again, not to get too far off topic, but like. I just, the reason why there's so many of these movies is because he would just like make one and then be like, let's go on and let's start the next one, and that means like they're not all like perfect, but still like the hit miss ratio is pretty high, because he knows like when to get in and get out, and your movie, and your movie,
know when to end your movie,
I mean,
honestly, right here, 2000, this is the start of. Hollywood doesn't know when to end their movies.
That bloat really getting to it. Anyways, what I was going to say, just like my final wrap up for that, is that like, why I sort of thought it was funny because you were saying like, oh, it's like so evocative for you, and I was saying like,
it does nothing for you.
It's kind of just a hand in a bathtub for me, but like, I actually do really like it aesthetically. Like, I think it's a great looking poster.
Yeah.
I just don't have that same like
I mean, it's not a hand in a bathtub.
It's so evocative. Like I don't have that same feeling, but I actually do think aesthetically it's very good. I actually think it's great. And it was on my maybes, but again, just didn't make it.
All right. So now we go to your number one.
Yeah.
This is also my number one.
Yeah.
There we go.
Come on.
It's such a good poster. It's so good. Amazing color,
perfect.
Amazing color composition. Yeah. There is a like joyous antic to what is going on in this poster.
Speaking of evocative, because you're evoking that feel, of like what the movie is. Yeah. Like if you can make a poster that conveys like not only just something about the movie, but the vibe of the movie and conveys like how it's gonna feel to watch the movie. Yeah, that's a huge win.
Yes. Yeah.
Without giving anything away, like if you can just convey like how it feels, that's a huge win.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. It's a fantastic poster.
Fantastic.
Definitely.
And again, this is a case
upper crust of
where I was actually more familiar with some of the variants where they have the more typical like let's do the little boxes with all the characters and stuff. And like
holdover. That's a holdover.
Yeah, and seeing that's not what the original theatrical was, and that the original theatrical was just this one image. I was like, oh, well, that's so much better. And so it was just a matter of finding a good quality.
This was one of the ones where I knew this movie was in this year. I knew what the poster looked like. I'm like, without even getting that far, I was like, that's probably going to be in my top just because it's such a great poster.
It's one of my top favorite movies of that year.
No, yeah. Also,
interestingly, because we did talk about how the posters don't necessarily have to correspond to
match to the film.
What we like, what movies we like. Interestingly, my number one favorite movie of this year,
terrible poster,
is not on here. Well, no, it was actually on my also rans.
Oh, okay.
I ended up. It was my very first highest also ran.
Oh, okay.
It got cut just for these 5. It would have been 6 basically. But I'm not going to tell you what it is.
That's a teaser,
because
folks.
That's going to save it for when we do...
You got to tune into our podcast. I believe it's going to be the first episode of 2025.
It's a pretty jerky...
Where we do our top 5 films.
It's a pretty jerky thing to do, but I couldn't resist.
No,
I was like, I'm going to tease you have to think about what it could possibly be.
Thanks. That's good. That's good. But yeah, no, that's... It's a good collection. Two crossovers there, both on the same. Again, yeah. But I think it's the first time we've had a double crossover in a while.
Probably, yeah.
But yeah. All right. Well, let us spin the wheel. Let me just do a quick double check, make sure I did take 2000 off here. Yep. Okay. Let me shuffle it up a bit. Find out what we're doing next. And
it'd be like 2001.
Wait, didn't we do 2001 already? No,
I think we did 2002. Oh, we're going newish again.
No.
Oh, yeah.
2018. Wow. Because I think we've done 2019 and 2020.
Yeah,
so yeah.
Which was interesting because of the whole flip from pre-COVID to
Well, the COVID year was such a bizarre series of posters.
Yeah, and it was like all Netflix movies. Because nothing came out in theaters.
Yeah. That was very funny.
But yeah, no, that's interesting.
2018, so
that should be really interesting.
See what that brings. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, hey, thanks everyone for watching this episode. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with 2018, posters of 2018. Until then, I'm Chris.
So,
cheers.
Bye-bye.